What's up, everybody? Ryan Michael Ballo here. I want to do a quick video on a stack that I take from time to time that to me is comparable to what people say modafinil is like. Phenylpiracetam really affects me to the level that people sort of say modafinil is like, depending on the dose and depending on the choline source and depending on the time of day and sleep I got. But for the most part, it's pretty powerful. And this stack, though, is significantly more powerful than that. Here's the stack. Here are the ingredients. Uridine monophosphate, CDP choline, caffeine, and acetyl L-carnitine. So there is this wide range of anecdotal evidence out there. It's strictly and exclusively anecdotal at this point that caffeine and uridine synergize together, and that the combination, that's really adding uridine to caffeine potentiates the effect of the caffeine. And I got to tell you, like, forget that I sell a product, forget that I want you to buy my product. It does that. It works for me every single time. And everybody else that's tried it, like, you know, they get a massive stimulatory effect that lasts a long time. That's extremely potentiated and super synergistic when they take Cortex Gen 1, our product, and they drink a cup or 2 cups of coffee and or take 60 to 120 milligrams of caffeine in capsule form. So that's the basis for why, I mean, that's like the kind of my explanation for the fact that there's synergy between uridine monophosphate and caffeine. We don't know the mechanisms. I frequently try to research and understand what it is. I've got some theories, but I haven't confirmed yet, so I don't really want to put that out. Again, uridine monophosphate, CDP choline, caffeine, and acetyl L-carnitine. Your dosages are going to vary. So I would start with this. This is the one that works for me, and you can titrate up or down and see what works for you. 175 milligrams uridine monophosphate, 60 milligrams CDP choline, 60 to 100 milligrams of caffeine. I mean, this is going to depend on you, but let's just start with 60. That's roughly 1 cup of coffee. And 300 to 500 milligrams of acetyl L-carnitine. I go with 300 and I'm like on fire. And sometimes I'll switch it to 500. See, this all depends on whether or not I got a lot of sleep the night before. I will be on the higher end of those doses if I didn't get enough sleep and I want to have that extra stimulatory effect. Now, what's really awesome about the stack is that it is taking all natural ingredients, right? None of these are smart drugs. And combining them in a way that, based on the synthesis and synergy of the ingredients with each other, and the potentiation of one of the ingredients, caffeine, from the other ingredient, uridine monophosphate, you get an insanely energized, like, brain function facilitating stack and output and benefit from it that is comparable to some of like the most strong smart drugs out there, like modafinil. Now, I want to preface, I want to make sure that I'm clear that I've never taken modafinil, but I've taken phenylpiracetam, and I've taken a lot of other smart drugs out there that are comparable and that give people similar effects. And then I've also taken, a host of I've taken everything else basically, but modafinil. I'm looking into trying modafinil soon. It's just hard to get that in the schedule because we're working on Cortex Generation 2 right now. And I've taken basically everything else with the exception of Adderall. But I've taken everything else, and I've worked with so many different stacks that are extremely stimulatory. I mean, if you're not used to it and you don't take it all the time, and your brain can kind of use the extra catecholamines, you take a stack of uridine, or let's just call it a choline source, and predominantly N-acetyl L-tyrosine, and throw down some caffeine, you're going to be in a pretty interesting place. It's going to make your workouts pretty interesting, and it's going to make your brain function really well. So I mean, there's ways to get substantially high performance brain activity out of stacks that don't have modafinil in them. There's a lot of ways to do that, actually. And so I've done that over the years, and I got to say, this stack to me it's by far, bar none, the best and most powerful stack that I've ever taken. That is I've ever taken, period, and that is natural. You're not going to really be able to granularly titrate the doses on this if you don't get a capsule maker and a milligram scale and bulk powder. So I would suggest, like, firstly, definitely do that. You'll probably spend about you might spend about $100 in all if you get sort of minimum effective amount of powder for caffeine, uridine monophosphate, Alcar, and CDP choline, your milligram scale, some measuring spoons, and capsule maker, and some 00 capsules or single 0 capsules, depending. I'd go for 00 capsules based on the quantity of this stack. You might spend a little more than $100, but it's not going to be substantial. You'll spend a lot more if you get the capsules, if you get all that stuff, the scale, well, really, I guess you'd only need, you really wouldn't even, you might need the scale to sort of empty capsules, but you might spend more just buying bottles of uridine monophosphate, 250 milligrams, and bottles of CDP choline, and a bottle of caffeine capsules, and a bottle of Alcar capsules. But you could buy bottles of each one of those ingredients and just take the bottles and see what works for you. Maybe they come in 250 for uridine and CDP, 100 for caffeine in milligram quantity, and 300 or something for Alcar. There's I think, God, maybe it's Jarrow. I think it's Jarrow that sells a 300 milligram Alcar, capsules that come in 300 milligrams. So you might be able to get away with it. Then that might actually work great for you. If you don't want to take it to the extreme of getting the capsule maker and really getting granular with it, buy bottles of the stuff and just empty a little bit out, onto the scale and read that reading, and then so that you can sort of find the difference between, you'll know what is left in the capsule based on reading the milligram quantity of what's on the scale. So long as there's not a bunch of other filler ingredients and whatever other ingredients manufacturers might want to put in the thing based on a variety of reasons. Let's talk about applications. The applications of this stack are broad and vast. One of the things that I always have to kind of keep in mind being an entrepreneur that's running two companies, like this company here, it's very operations intensive, very labor intensive, a lot of dealing with the phone. Customers are calling all the time. We're having to deal with people. They come in here. This is a retail spot in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Is that there's a variety, there's just a lot of information that I have to kind of keep in my working memory. And there's a lot of input that's kind of coming in at all times. I've got to deal with customers on the phone. I've got to deal with customers in person. I've got to deal with a lot of administrivia, because it's not just a local company where we've got a retail spot. This is a national company where people mail in iPads to us to have screens. We fix touch technology on iPads replaced and sent back to them. So there's this whole administrative process that deals with all of the orders placed with those people. Then there's a contingent of our customers that are corporate. Crayola the crayon company, Lazy Boy the furniture company, great amount of schools, other small businesses around here, Victaulic the multi-hundred million dollar pipe company. They are a client of ours, right? So they order on the web, and there's this administrative process I have to deal with. I got to constantly email back and forth with those people. I'm always communicating with them, and so there's a lot of cerebral work and kind of multifaceted brain function that has to take place here for me to be effective as a founder to run this company. And that stack is insanely powerful for all that stuff. The second application for me, and I'm just kind of trying to give you what works for me so that maybe you can apply this and hopefully it works for you, is writing. This is an incredible writing stack for me. This stack, I just want to, I have to sometimes sit down and write long blog posts with 10 references or 20 references and just make these long detailed blog posts and certain things, so some of them have to be that way. And in order to do that, it's like at my baseline I can sit there and do it, but it'll certainly take me longer, and I might not be as focused, and I'm certainly not going to be as fast as if I were to take this stack. If I take the stack, it's so much more synthesized. I'm so much faster. It's like my fingers are just moving, my brain's just getting it out, and my otherwise good capacity to write, it's not going to make you write better if you're a crappy writer, is just enhanced multifold. It's remarkable is worth remarking over, is worth sitting there and being like, holy shit, this is a substantial difference. It's it's pretty fucking awesome. So so there's writing. Then there's verbal fluency, right? I always talk about verbal fluency as being like a primary marker for success in judging a nootropic, and a primary marker of determining how your brain is functioning at the time. I know a lot of people who use Cortex to give speeches, right? There's a couple of our customers that give speeches for a living. That's what they do. They travel around for companies that send them to different places, and those people give speeches about the industry. One of them is an IT specialist who gives speeches about IT and cybersecurity. And getting up there and giving a speech and having the words immediately available to your brain, and the process of converting what you're going to say to language and getting it out in a smooth manner is totally optimized by the stack, is a critically important thing. And I think it's something that other people can apply and hopefully get a benefit from. Lastly, any kind of focus intensive task is going to be benefited by taking this stack, whether it's a blog post or whether it's doing some research or whether it's just like focusing on some sort of physical thing. Like, a good example would be us. Like, we've got iPad after iPad here, broken iPad after broken iPad to focus on and to work on. And some of those iPads, it's not just a broken screen. We've got Wi-Fi issues, we've got headphone jack issues, we have power button issues. And sometimes it really takes for me to sit down, and the techs that are here, when we have them here, contracted techs to come in here to work on when we got way too many devices, to sit down and focus on trying to find a problem. It might take 30 to 45 minutes to actually find like what short is blasting what cap inside. You know, just a little kind of hold for electrical activity that if it gets blasted with too much current will burn something out in the motherboard of the iPad. That takes a lot of focus and kind of figuring things out. So that's, you know, just a good example. Anything else that you might want to spend a lot of time focusing on that you require a good amount of brain performance and a good amount of negated or mitigated distractibility, this stack is going to be wonderful for you. You might be 200 milligrams uridine monophosphate, 100 milligrams CDP choline, 100 milligrams caffeine, 500 milligrams acetyl-L-carnitine. It's all going to depend. You're going to have to titrate, which means move up and down to find your sweet spot. But I can guarantee you that this is going for a lot of people, right? I don't want to make blanket statements and have, like, you know, all my haters, which love you, by the way. Thanks for disliking my shit sometimes and totally helping my SEO because you have a problem with the way I say something or you don't agree with me. Do something for, you know, significant in your life, and maybe I'll come and see what's up with your stuff. But I'd probably like it if you were trying something and if you were like positively influencing the world in some way, because I'm not jealous of anybody. But anyway, for the rest of you, I think this is going to work really well for you. The reason I say that's not just because I take it and it works well for me, because that is no basis for me to sort of extrapolate that information out to a whole host of other people. It's that I have a large sample size right now with people using the Cortex stack, which has uridine and CDP in it. It doesn't have alcohol in it, but people adding it to caffeine, me included, and a lot of other people included. I'll ask them for their feedback and they'll email it back to me and they'll be very specific about it. Or some people are connecting me on Facebook that use the product and they'll email me their feedback. But then other people that use the product are my friends, people locally that I know, that I can see face to face and drill them with questions and ask them every time. And they say, listen, man, when I drink a cup of coffee with your stack, it is a night and day difference, and it really, you know, potentiates the effects of the stack. So it's really awesome. So thanks so much for watching. If you've not tried the Cortex stack, grab a bottle of Cortex Generation 1 on livecortex.com. The link will be below. If you're watching this on the website, go to the menu bar and hit Get Cortex. It's a substantially powerful stack. We've got uridine and CDP and artichoke extract. All three of them work to induce neurite outgrowth. CDP, choline, and uridine work on dopamine receptors in a positively reparative way, and the Bacopa area is an adaptogen, which fits well with the rest of the stack. Otherwise, subscribe if you loved it. Please like the video if you liked it. Share it if you loved it. We've got a new podcast coming out on Noopept pretty soon, podcast 009 on the Live Cortex Nootropics podcast, which is on iTunes, by the way. Now we're starting to upload them on YouTube, and they're on the Live Cortex website, so you can go there, listen to them all as well. You've got a player that plays the MP3, and you can listen to them. And then what else? Is there any content? Oh, I mean, just we keep kind of cranking content out all the time, so stay on board with content. You can get an email sent to you every week or 2 weeks, depending on when we send them out, of all the content that we put out through the last 2 weeks, rather than getting blasted every day with FeedBurner saying, hey, there's new content every day. We'll just send you an email with a bunch of content that we've created, not spamming you, and, you know, we'll do it once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks. We really don't send a whole lot of those out, but you can put your email address in to get subscribed to that list on the Live Cortex blog, anywhere on the right hand down the sidebar of the blog. I'm rambling. Thanks so much for watching. Try the stack. I would love to hear some feedback on people trying the stack. Please try the stack. Not our stack. I mean, just try this combo that I'm trying, that I'm suggesting, and comment in the comment section. Talk to you later.